Welcome to the Integrate This podcast and our Tech in 10 series. As we continue our dive into the different features of Brisk Next. If you watched the first episode, David gave a great overview of Brisk Next, as well as some of the features of it and its connections to the Brisk extension that I think a lot of us are familiar with. And if you didn't watch that first one, you should go back and watch it. And if you didn't know that we also had a podcast episode with Armand Jaffer, the CEO and founder of Brisk Teaching AI, is definitely worth checking out because he gives some great insights, not just into the Brisk tools themselves, but also about innovative practices with AI. And in this one, David is going to take us through creating content with Brisk Next.
Yeah, so we are going to kind of continue on from where we left off, which was just looking at in the first video, the atomic example, basically putting in a topic into the next area to have it generate some ideas for us. And what we're going to do next is actually think about this more in a more comprehensive prompt sort of way. And so just a little bit of insight here. If you are looking for a way to construct a good prompt, there are plenty of prompt frameworks out there. I utilized Google's Parts framework for this, just to help me really lay out what are the key pieces that I need to include for this. And so mainly what I wanted to focus on was the benchmark that we're looking at. And in this case, it's how the nucleus of an atom changes and why energy is released. In the first video, we just had a topic. That's it. This is much more detailed, much more specific, which always helps the AI process what it is that you want. So what we're going to do is we're going to copy this that I've got here that is way more specific and put that into our Brisk Next chat. And once it's in there, we can go ahead and we could hit to generate those next ideas. However, as we looked at in the first video, what you can do is modify some of these things. So like in this case, I want this for 10th grade. Remember, you can always change the output if you want to. We're going to leave it on Google for right now on this one. And then what I want to also do is I'm going to just show attaching from Google Drive. And so for this, you might get it where it pops up in your recent files, but I know that I'm just going to search for this, and I'm going to pull in my module 2.5 notes to help complement what the chatbot can read so that it knows and has more context for what I want. Then from there, I can hit next ideas.
Yeah, what you didn't see is when David hit the attach button that was in that little window, was the window that it opened up that showed his Google Drive and how he navigated to the resource that he wanted to use. But as you could see, it did attach, and now it brought him to this part here.
Yep, so you'll see that Google Drive window open for you. That'll be specific to your drive. And then when we get over into where it's generating these next materials for us, we talked about this in the first video, but you have these different categories: prepare, engage, and assess. Now with those, there are going to be a number of generated materials specific to that category. First, if you want more of a specific category, each of these will have a generate more option. So if I click generate more, it's going to shift over into just the preparation category, so resources and materials, and it's going to generate quite a bit more. You'll notice that it left the top three, so our Word or our docs, slides, and podcast options, but then generated a bunch more here: guided notes, exemplar, and then some more of the same with the presentation and podcast. Now, so you can use those if you want to, but what we can also do is we're just going to go back here for a second and reset those three categories. And you can have conversations over here, as we demonstrated in the first video, where you can focus more on a specific process. But let's say that we just wanted to create some of these things. There's two ways that you can go about this. The first is if you hit create, just know that it's just going to create it. I mean, that's going to be it, right? You can click create, and now it's going to actually push us over into that application. So now we're looking at Google Docs, and it's going to start to generate that change, that atomic nucleus change guide for us. So that's where we're just letting it kind of take the reins, and that's totally fine. You may like that process of it doing that, and then later you're going to change things either manually through manual edits, or maybe you're utilizing the next page in Brisk, which happens with the extension you'll see here, where you can do rewrites and add-ons and other little things that you can change in it. If you want to do that way, that's totally fine. Another method for this is that rather than just having it create, you can also click the pencil icon, and that will allow you the ability to be more specific. You could put in a lot of information here to help before it actually generates it. So you could write stuff in. You could also add in the standard. Then you got your grade level and your language, and then we hit brisket, and then it's going to do that exact same thing that we did from the create button. It's just that you have a little bit more control over some of the things that you found in that window there. But we're going to see it create again here and get our guide for us. Now, a couple other things just to look at is we have the presentation. You'll actually be surprised how quickly this comes up, but you can create the presentation. It'll bring you over into the Google Slides editing window, and it will start to create that presentation for you, and then allow you to make whatever edits you want to it that are going to be specific to the content that you're covering, or maybe your presentation style, things like that. You have the podcast, which this is something that is new in Brisk. What I like about this is these podcasts are pretty quick. You can do longer podcasts depending on your level of subscription. With the free version, it limits you to a 1 to 2 minute podcast. But I really like this because you can listen to it.
Hey, science enthusiasts. I'm Elena, and today we're diving into the fast.
It gives you a transcript, and then you can also download it or copy that link and put it into your learning management system to deliver to your students, which is really great. You'll also see we've got a number of different interactive activities here in the engage area, things like tutor chat, hooks, debates, different things like that. And then we have our assess area as well. You can create things like reviews. So we'll have this open up. And remember, with any of these, you can click that pencil icon to put in specifics. So if you know the key concepts that if you're doing a review, let's say, put in, use the edit feature and put in those key concepts or maybe vocabulary words, things like that, that are going to help this process along. And remember, we always advocate for being having AI be your thought partner. So work alongside with it, complement each other. Do your edits and maybe get more specific into what you want. There's the exit tickets. And then lastly, we'll look at quizzes. And what this will do, since we chose Google as our output, it's going to bring us over into forms and start generating that Google form for us for our quiz. Okay, so we have our nuclear processes quiz. And then with all these, what I really like is just the fact that it does put you in edit mode, because, right, we want to have you go back and you're going to be the ultimate content expert and decider as to whether or not this is as good as you want it to be. Now, we talked about file output. If you do switch to Microsoft, you'll notice that these will change. And now we can create this, and that's going to be using Word instead. And so you'll see it open up into this kind of Brisk / OneDrive like cooperation, and this is what you'll get from it. So you can use either. You can create a lot of different content from this. This is something that you should definitely explore, and then Jeremy will go into a bit more detail on some of the other aspects of Brisk Next in the following 2 videos.